Today we're going to talk about why you should consume 3 to 4 eggs every single day. Now, I will say that eggs are an extraordinary topic, and believe me, I'm not an extremist with eggs, but I do consume eggs every single day. So before I dive into the topic, if you have even the slightest hesitancy about eggs because of cholesterol, you can take that idea and just get it out of your head. Because eggs in no way, shape, or form have ever created a cholesterol problem. So that was a lot of propaganda. I'm going to put some new research down below in the description if you have any hesitancy whatsoever. But what I really want to dive into right off the bat is, why is an egg so special? Why is it so different from other types of protein like meats or fish? First of all, when you're eating animal protein in general, you're eating the muscle part. The muscle is responsible for contraction and relaxation and movement, but the egg doesn't do that, okay? It's something that's going to turn into a chicken. So let me just explain the difference as far as protein. Eggs have the highest biological value as far as protein. It means that it absorbs the most protein in your tissues. Absorption. Egg is at the top of the list. The second point, why do we need protein? Generally, we need it to build muscle, like tendons, ligaments, joints, etc. But we also need it for repair, because our bodies are constantly repairing our protein structures. Does it have any other purposes? Yes, it does. It helps you build hormones. It helps build enzymes to allow biochemistry to occur. But protein can also be used as a fuel source. But now let's just compare and contrast regular meat and egg protein for that. When you consume animal meat or fish, I'm talking about the muscle part, you could only use between 10 and 20% of that for fuel, okay? If you actually have a fatty piece of meat, you can use that fat for fuel, but I'm talking about just the protein itself. At the max, you can only use 20% of that as fuel. Okay, now, what about eggs? Well, the egg has egg yolk, and that's a lot of fat. That can be used as fuel. So, in other words, if we take a look at the entire egg, 65% of that egg can be used as fuel. And that also relates to people that are eating more lean meat. They're not going to be able to use as much of that for fuel. You know, there's experiments where people lived on rabbit meat, which is extremely lean. And they got really sick, and some of them even died because of the problem with the fuel. You can't live 100% on protein. So, the egg has some serious advantages over other types of proteins. I mean, you could literally live on eggs for the rest of your life and be pretty healthy. But that is not all. This egg has some additional things that meat doesn't have. It has a lot more protection. Okay. What do I mean by protection? Well, in this egg, you have all sorts of antimicrobial proteins. This is in the white part. What do I mean by antimicrobial? I mean things that can actually kill off bacteria. The egg white also has some things in there that can lock up iron, but also it can lock up vitamin B7, which is biotin. Now, I don't know if you ever heard that if you consume raw egg white, there's something in there that can actually deplete you of biotin. I don't know if you've ever heard that before, but weightlifters sometimes would consume a whole bunch of raw eggs in a shake and drink that. And some of them were getting a biotin deficiency. But of course, if you heat up the egg white and you cook it, that thing goes away. So you don't have to worry about eggs depleting biotin. But the point is that the reason why that compound is in eggs in the first place is that certain pathogens depend on biotin. And if you can lock that up, you can eliminate the bad bacteria. Another defensive, protective purpose of the egg. Also, eggs have all of the essential amino acids, including leucine, which is the key amino acid that helps build muscle. Eggs also are the second highest source of choline, which is a B vitamin. Choline is really good to prevent a fatty liver. It's also something that makes up your bile to help you digest fats. And it's also really beneficial for those people that have a genetic problem that can help repair DNA damage. Now, I'm going to give you a new word that you may have not heard about. It's called methylation, which is basically something in your body that can help DNA repair, detoxification, and also something to help make neurotransmitters. And the only reason I'm bringing this up is that a lot of people have a genetic issue with this, and so they can have problems if they don't get enough choline, if they don't get enough natural B12, which is in the egg, and they don't get enough folate, which is also in the egg. So in other words, a lot of people that have a genetic problem with this are going to get enough choline and they're going to benefit from that. Another thing that eggs have very powerful antioxidants called lutein and zeaxanthin are concentrated in the retina of your eye to act as a natural protection against ultraviolet light, as well as blue light that can destroy certain parts of the eye. But it's not just good for the retina, it's also good for the other parts of the brain as well, to help with concentration, memory, learning, etc. All right, what else does an egg have? Well, it has these interesting things called phospholipids. Again, I don't want to give you a bunch of big words. This is something that helps the membranes of your brain and other tissues to allow you to have really good cognitive function. Also, there's something in your eggs that actually mimic an ACE inhibitor, which lowers blood pressure. Egg also has vitamin K2 to transport calcium and keep it out of the soft tissues, the joints, the kidney, and the arteries, and push that calcium into the teeth and the bone. It also has the active form of vitamin A called retinol, not just for the eye, but for your skin, the internal skin, through the sinuses, throughout the lung, throughout the digestive tract. Vitamin A is also important for your immune system, and the egg also has vitamin D. Now, I hope I've convinced you to consume at least one of your meals with eggs. Are you taking turmeric daily? Be careful. Combining turmeric with the wrong supplements or vitamins can cancel out its benefits or even put your health at risk. If you haven't watched the video, I put it up right here. Go check it out.